Hey, what's up, guys? Real quick, I've been working really hard to amplify my social media presence recently, and recently just started diving into Instagram, which has actually been a ton of fun. It's a cool platform for connecting with y'all in just a more personal way. So if we aren't already connected on Instagram, let's change that. You can find me at the Anthony Vicino. So go connect. Let's do it. All right, let's get to the show. Welcome to Amplified Impact. This is the podcast where we talk about how to build better businesses, invest in real estate, and how to hyper-focus on the things that matter most so that we can maximize our return on life. I'm your host, Anthony Vicino, and I've written a few best-selling books, built a few 7- and 8-figure businesses, and currently manage a $70 million real estate portfolio. But the thing I'm most proud of is that I managed to turn my ADHD into a superpower. This podcast is all about the stories, lessons, and strategies I wish I had learned sooner in the pursuit of living a life beyond the apex. I'm psyched to have you here. Now let's go make some amplified impact. So I just got off a coaching call literally seconds ago with one of my students, and he was struggling, feeling like he knew exactly what he needed to do. He was time blocking, he was laying out his schedule, he was sitting down, but then when he was doing the work, he felt like he wasn't making any meaningful progress, and he was getting frustrated because he's like, I don't feel like I'm moving forward. I don't get it. I don't understand. Nothing's happening quite as fast as he was expecting. And so I was like, okay, well, let's break this down. Let's get the full context, and then let's see where the train is going off the rails. And we do that by first starting with, okay, where are we trying to get to? What's the desired end state? Have we taken the moment to actually define what does winning look like? And this is the first mistake a lot of people make, which is they are moving through life and they don't have a clear destination in mind. And so when that's the case, if you don't know where you're going, and your road will get you there. And so that's number one, is be really crystal clear about, I'm trying to get to this destination. Awesome. Once we understand that, then we can start working backwards and figure out, okay, what are all the intermediate steps between where we're trying to get to and what needs to happen to get us there? And we just keep breaking it down, chunking it down into smaller and smaller steps until you get back to where you are right now. And you can say, okay, here's the smallest, most meaningful step that I could take forward that would move me in the direction of my goals. And as he was sharing, okay, here's my desired outcome. In 5 years, here's where I'd like to go. In 3 years, it looks like this. And then next year, it looks like this. And here's how I'm going to do that. And here's where I'm at right now. And as we're going, as he's sharing this, it's crystal clear to me within 30 seconds what the issue is. He knows where he's trying to go to. And he's a little bit clear on the path that it takes to get there. But the answer was just so glaringly obvious, I just stopped him. I was like, listen, we don't need to go any further. Because you've everything that you've told me right now, the answer is in what you've said. You just don't realize it yet because you lack the perspective given where you're standing. And this is, as a coach, a lot of times my job, what I do is less about telling you what to do and more about just adding perspective. Because a lot of times when you're standing on the road trying to figure out how you're going to get to the mountaintop, you're going to run into these obstacles and they're going to be directly in front of you. It's your first time ever encountering it. And when that's the case, sometimes these obstacles can feel much bigger or smaller than they really are. And sometimes a coach, what they can help with is because they've been to the top of the mountain before, they know all the obstacles that you're likely to hit, and they can point and say, that's a big obstacle. It doesn't look like much, but trust me, that's a big one. It's sneaky. Don't underestimate that one. And other ones you can say, hey, that one looks really big, but just go over to it. You can blow on it and it's going to fall over. It's actually not a big deal. It's scary. But all you got to do is actually take the first step and the thing falls over. Most people just never take the first step because they're intimidated. Right. And so as a perspective coach, that's what I do. Just stand there and I was like, hey, that one right there, that's not actually such an issue. That's how I felt today, at least. Sometimes we get really technical into the weeds, but today that's how I felt. And so I was just like, listen, dude, you got the answers. You've already articulated it. You just need to accept it and come up with a game plan to move forward with that in mind. And sure enough, it took him roughly 15 seconds. He's like, he smiles. He's like, I don't know. Because a lot of times, we don't need to be taught. We need to be reminded. And he just needed to be reminded. He knew what the answer was. He just needed to be reminded. And so he took literally 15, 20 seconds, kind of smiled, said, oh, I don't know. Why don't you tell me? No. I'm like, no, you figure it out. A parent that lets your kid kind of fall over. You do it. You got the answer. You know what it is. You know in your heart what the right answer is and why you're not getting the progress that you want. What's holding you back? And he goes, it's lack of focus, isn't it? And I was like, yep, lack of focus. And you guys should probably, I mean, it's not super surprising given like my background and hyperfocus. It's like my whole shtick. But here's the issue, right? As he started talking and sharing like how he wanted to get to his goal, he is, for context, in real estate, he's starting a real estate investment firm while also simultaneously trying to build his book of business as a real estate broker. And so as he was sharing this, you know, it became very clear, like it's incredibly difficult to start any business. It's even harder to start two businesses simultaneously. And what I told him was just, listen, like you can't expect to make meaningful progress on either of these two things as long as you're splitting your focus and your attention, because it is hard to get a flywheel going, whether you're trying to be a broker or you're trying to start an investment firm and trying to like build relationships and rapport with investors and trying to get deals and acquisitions coming down the pipeline. Both of these things are full-time endeavors. And so if you're going to put time and energy into trying to move the broker flywheel, and you finally move it an inch and you think, yes, I moved it an inch. Awesome. Now I'm going to go over to my investment firm and I'm going to move that one. And then you start putting all this time and energy into moving that one. And you finally move it and you think, yay, now I can go back to my brokerage. And you go back and you realize, oh, that flywheel isn't even moving anymore. Now you got to start all over. That is a terrible use of energy. And this is what a lot of us do. Like I'm not immune to this. I'm just as guilty. All entrepreneurs suffer from shiny object syndrome and from too many opportunities. But as, I can't even remember the guy's name. He wrote the book called The Road Less Stupid. Ken something, Cunningham? Maybe it's Cunningham. He says, businesses do not typically die from starvation. They die from indigestion, from taking on too much, from eating too much, too many opportunities. And I told one of the most impactful messages Tom Bilyeu shared with me when I was working with him last year was, your job as a CEO is to imagine you're standing in a room with 1,000 open doors. Your job is to close 999 of those and then get the team to rally behind you and sprint with gusto through that one open door. Because you can only go through one door at a time. You can only sit on one toilet seat at a time. So you got to pick one and you got to make it your home. You got to sit there until you get the flywheel going, until you have the systems, the processes, and the team in place that flywheel can continue moving forward without your input. And only then are you able to turn your focus, your attention, your energy towards the other thing. And when you do this, when you cut out everything else extraneous and you say, I'm just going to focus on this one thing, and you move that you put all your energy into it, you can move a mountain in far less time than you think. And you can beat your competition because your competition does not have your discipline or your focus. And they're trying to move multiple flywheels at the same time. But because you're focused and committed to just your one, you're going to make more progress more quickly than they are, which then in turn means that once that flywheel is going, you can turn your attention to the other thing, give that 100% energy, and get that moving faster. And this is compounding interest. This isn't just a matter of being 2 times better or 2 times faster. It's just 5x, 10x, 100x. As you start applying consistent force to the same problem over time, the results become exponential very quickly. And so the answer for him was focus, focus, focus. And I'm guessing if you're like me, if you're like him, if you're like most entrepreneurs that I know and that I've worked with, focus is probably the answer for you as well. So I hope this brought you some value. If you struggle with focus, this is all just a glorified sales pitch. So just go check out the Hyperfocus Masterclass. When I'm recording this in December, the course is not out yet, but it will be launched in early January. So by the time this episode goes live, the course is out there. I do not know what the URL is. My guess is if you go to anthonyvicino.com, you can find a link to it. But that is literally, that course is 40 plus modules of literally everything that I know about overcoming ADHD, applying focus, about developing hyperfocus, getting into the flow state, and just being like a maximally productive human being. So if that sounds like something that you could benefit by, I would strongly recommend you go check that out. And because I get this question a lot about coaching, I do coach, but I only take 3 clients at a time. My roster is almost always full. So if you're interested in getting on the wait list, shoot me an email, anthony@anthonyvicino.com. But just know, like, I am not a full-time coach and I don't take on a lot of clients. So there's the disclaimer. But hey guys, I do appreciate you listening here, tuning in. I appreciate you immensely for your love and your support, for everything that you do, for just being you and being awesome. So keep it up. And, as always, stay hyper focused, and I'll see you in the next episode.